Arctic versus ABR. This is going to be a good one, folks. It's me, Jimothy. Hello. Arctic is a player who's come up I witnessed personally. He's been playing for a couple of years now. I saw him go from 0 to hero and make a real splash in Jimvitational. Innovating defensive builds with interesting sets like Tail Whip Blissey, Articuno usage, stuff like this. ABR, on the other hand, a Smogon veteran. Potential GOAT of competitive Pokemon, people say. Multi-generational talent, an innovator himself, led to the Misdreavus revolution, and stuff like this. And here he is using a Jinx team, a bit uncharacteristic, some would say. And a crit freeze on the incoming Blissey is not what you want to see. You can natural cure this away, though, at least. Arctic doesn't appear to have Metagross, which tends to be a pretty nice Jinx response. Trying to take the sleep somewhere, but it's awkward, because ABR is just Ice Beaming, as you should into a Zapdos, I suppose. Now we Lovely Kiss. And Skarm is asleep, a bit disastrous. No spikes to be seen. Blissey returns to the fray. Jinx is often trying to lure in Blissey and feint for the Doug follow-up as an aggro opener. And it is indeed Mean Look. And Jinx can have Perish Song too, and there it is, Perish Song. This is a more modern adaptation, doing Mean Look Perish instead of Calm Mind. To just hyper lure in Blissey and try to get rid of it. And Blissey will fall in a few turns. I don't think Blissey can really damage this Jinx. It doesn't even appear to have Toxic or Seismic Toss. Regrettably just... Oh, Light Screen. That's really interesting. Arctic always using uncommon choices on common Pokemon, like a Light Screen Blissey. I've never seen that before, to be honest. Gonna at least wish on the way out to try to wake up Skarmory. If Skarm can wake up, you have a shot here. But Blissey going down is a real shame. ABR doesn't seem to have too much in the way of Skarmory answers at the moment, at least. Mashing into it with a Metagross. I guess a Light Screen is up, so its special attacker won't be doing much. This Skarm is likely going to wake up. There it is, going to make a layer, I assume. There we are. So that's a bit of a foot in the door for Arctic. Can he come back? Possibly. Jinx can, of course, put something to sleep again now that Skarm is waking up. But Jinx has trouble hitting the field. Dragged in a Suicune. Makes sense on such an aggressive thing. There is also a Claydol. Gonna spin away this Spike, or attempt to. But you got spin blocked by Gengar. And burned. Now Claydol is in a clock. It cannot permanently rapid spin for free. At the cost of some Gengar health, which is a small price to pay. Flygon comes in. Taking 31 from Psychic. Wonder what kind of Flygon we're looking at. I was about to say, is this a more offensive Flygon? And it doesn't appear to have leftovers, so it might even be Choice Band Flygon. Which is interesting. Could be really good if Arctic can get through Claydol. I mean, look at how good a Choice Band Earthquake looks into the rest of ABR's team. Nothing loves that. Trying to deal with this Suicune for now, who is Calm Minding up. Will Arctic explode with Gengar here? No, goes Zapdos. Hesitant to explode. Maybe doesn't have it either. We don't know the set fully. Gonna Thunderbolt. Awkward situation. Lost your Zapdos there. Hopefully Gengar follows up and KOs. Actually goes for the Flygon. Gonna lock into something that can be taken advantage of. But clicking Earthquake is not too bad because Claydol's burned. So at least if it comes in, it's chipping itself down that way. Will ABR go for the spin this time? No, goes for the Psychic, trying to snipe incoming Gengar. Nice move by Arctic. Sort of predicting that. You can even protect here. Rack up that burn damage further. This is nicely played by Arctic. And trying to create an avenue for this Choice Band Flygon to do something. And the way you do that is by getting through Claydol. Arctic identifies this. Doesn't care about the Rapid Spin as much as just chipping down this Claydol. Which is more important. And Arctic went for Toxic in case something chose to come in there. And it's the same thing as Surfing pretty much, because you just protect for the final little bit of HP there. Claydol's down. Now ABR is really worried about that Choice Band Flygon. But the last Pokemon could be something ground immune. We don't know yet. Could be some threat like Salamence would fit here. Suicune now rested up. I would assume this is Sleep Talk Suicune. That would be my assumption. Because you want to be able to act. You want to be proactive. It is indeed Sleep Talk. Interesting situation. Like a Sandless offense versus Sandless off. I mean, Arctic is more balanced, but it's a pretty aggressive balance with Choice Band, Flygon, and Gengar. And even Zapdos. A bit more aggressive than most Sandless balanced teams are, I would say. That being said, ABR's last could just be Tyranitar. We don't know. This Suicune is now going to wake up. So Arctic could be in trouble. You could crit with the Flygon. I mean, this is a bit of a desperate situation. I think that the Gengar probably doesn't even have Explosion. I feel like you might have used Explosion in the... There were a few opportunities to use it. And it's Dugtrio last, which actually makes perfect sense. I should have known that from the beginning with the Jinx represents Dugtrio last. Giga Drain, I guess, is good to have. Is there a chance for Arctic? Probably not. You got to get freezes. You need to get freezes here. Suicune's gonna die. You gotta freeze Snorlax and then somehow get through Metagross. And Jinx. Probably not happening. Powerful Para has to happen. You can't even freeze Jinx. And that's over. ABR winning with an uncharacteristic bring, a Jinx hyper offense here. Interesting stuff. And what do we have in store for game 2? ABR bringing Sand this time. With a Tyranitar lead. And a Swampert lead from Arctic. Not a super common lead, but it does force out the Tyranitar turn 1. Went for an aggressive Doug switch in. Are you trying to catch the Tar? Trying to do something with that Doug. Didn't work out. ABR just went with the straightforward Spike. What kind of Blissey are we looking at? Do we have Thunderbolt? Indeed we do. ABR checks for it, going to his own Blissey. As you should. Arctic has a Celebi too. And ABR snipes it with an Ice Beam. That's huge damage. Celebi can of course recover Leech Seed, etc. Leech Seed it is. Doesn't quite fall to Sand there. And Leech Seed will heal back a significant amount of health. Arctic can now safely recover. Indeed. I would assume Arctic has Claydol. Because otherwise you're really, really weak to spikes on this build. And you're a bit passive as well. Arctic, it has Starmie. Sorry. I just said Skarmory. That's not a Pokemon. Forgive me. So we're going to spin. Does ABR's Blissey have Thunderbolt? It does, and it just got a critical hit. That is terrible. That is terrible. Arctic in the chat said, oh no, I'm special defense on Specially defensive Starmie for that very situation. So that's a doubly unfortunate crit there. Already down a game. Arctic not happy about that one. And now with no spinner, you're in trouble. How is Arctic going to get through this one? It could be Calm Mind Blissey on Arctic's side, which could be a win condition. Maybe the Swampert has some stuff. It's HP Fire on the Celebi. That's good to have here, pressuring Skarmory a bit. Arctic can match the spikes at least. ABR could easily have a Claydol or another spinner though. And that would be rough. Looks to be Peck Skarm. Might actually be a good thing for Arctic. Meaning Swampert is safer against Skarmory, not worried about a Toxic. Good Leech Seed again on the switch out to Blissey. Really great move there by Arctic. Goes to Dugtrio on a heal. And Leech Seed will bring Doug back to full health, which is cool. Folks, Doug has leftovers. Dugtrio has leftovers on, and it's got Protect. What the heck is this, Arctic? Dugtrio is like 99% of the time choice banned. This is something interesting. It's the Leech, the Subseed Dug trapping Blissey. Does this 1v1 Blissey? That's brilliant, Arctic. What have you done here? What have you done here? Oh boy. At the very least, you're going to stall it out of all its ice beams. This is wonderful because, look, Dug heals all of the sub health from Blissey Leech Seeded. Oh boy. Well, we're going to be here for a while, I suppose, but the Blissey is not not having much fun. Certainly. Does Arctic benefit that much from taking out Blissey? No, there's no special threat to take advantage of this. The Celebi, I suppose, has HP Fire. Leech recover HP Fire. What's the last move? Could be just Giga Drain. That is really interesting, and it worked. Blissey's gone. And Dug even took out enemy Dug as in the speed tie. ABR expected that to be a slower Dug. It was max speed. Risking a speed tie, and that just... that was a bit of a... That was a bit of a throw, may I say? Not to be rude, but... That's a terrible... Like, ABR was pretty up here. And all of a sudden, Dug is gone. That could be useful against Celebi and Blissey. Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright, Arctic can establish spikes against the toxic Starmie here. Actually went for Protect there, thinking Starmie might stay for a moment. It wasn't so, but that's okay. Arctic looks like he is going to re-establish spikes cleanly. Starmie can spin them, of course. But Skarmory can Toxic it if it comes in and tries to do that. Okay, we've got a couple pecking Skarms. There's a bit of a pecking order. This is how you know it's a passive matchup. Skarmory's drill pecking into each other. Alright, Arctic goes to Blissey, trying to apply some sort of form of aggression. At the cost of a drill peck, doing a not insignificant 25% to Blissey. Here's Celebi, it can HP Fire. What Tyranitar are we looking at? It's unrevealed thus far. Could be Pursuit. If it's Pursuit Tar, it's certainly Crunch on Celebi. Just about any Tar threatens Celebi with HP Bug or Crunch. ABR just trying to peck this. Chip Heal while forcing recovers. Is Arctic going to squeeze in a Leech Seed at any point here? Arctic might be wary of a switch into Tar. Wants to keep Celebi healthy in that event. Yeah, just looping this. ABR can also crit at any of these drill pecks, so that's something to consider too. Oh boy, we're at a bit of a stalemate situation, kinda. ABR does have the spinner. At some point, ABR will find a rapid spin opportunity. A bit awkward as it stands. You can't really go Starmie into Celebi. Risk of Giga Drain. Unrevealed, but could be Giga Drain last, so ABR has to be careful. Goes for Roar that time. And in comes Blissey. Not a great outcome for ABR, because this is threatening Thunderbolt. Blissey just heals. ABR roaring again. Earning some health on the Dug. The Dug can actually chip heal, though. Imagine this. Yeah, imagine that. ABR going for Roar spam now. Alright. Swampert not worried about Toxic. What did Swampert click there? Roar himself. Must have clicked Roar himself there. Because Roar happened first. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe Arctic expected ABR to exit that time. And not take a big water move. Didn't happen like that. ABR really trying to just get this Dug in. Okay, there's a lot of Spike Immune fellas. A lot of Pokemon that pressure Skarmory. So the Raw spam is not fantastic in that regard. But if you ever get the Dug in, it's free chip. You're slowly wearing it down. Making your Tyranitar safer. And that is pretty important for ABR. Tyranitar is his main aggressive Pokemon he has to actually make any progress. And with Dug in the back, Tyranitar can't really breathe safely. So needs to chip down this Dug with these Roars. Sensible plan from ABR. Goes for the peck that time, though. Mixing it up. I'm not sure who has the winning position here. It is pretty interesting. ABR has the spinner. Tyranitar represents a threat. Eventually, Doug will fall to spikes. But Arctic has some maneuverability. Oh, that is really unfortunate. Leech Seed miss. And Celebi's really low. And you roar in Doug. So that was a great turn for ABR there. Unfortunate. Gonna chip heal. With Doug. Wonder if this Blissey will just click Thunderbolt. Arctic getting sick and tired of Skarmory. No. No, just heals. Playing it safe. But Doug is getting low. 38% now. Chip heals once more. Arctic with only one Spike Immune Pokemon is really feeling these roars. Spikes are starting to constrict Arctic. And Celebi's low. Now the peck could be lethal. Celebi has to recover, but... Oh, Skarmory goes for Roar, actually. Prioritizing the Doug elimination. And Surf is evidently not even very good chip. Skarmory heals that back with leftovers in a matter of moments. So Arctic not even bothering. Doesn't even go for it. Would rather just go for a double protect there. You could go Leech Seed there. Didn't do it. Arctic afraid of missing like last time. Oh, jeez. Not very good for Arctic here. Just slowly getting worn down. Not much, like, this is the problem with a passive team, is that if you can't actually pressure Skarmory enough, this just happens to you. This is what happens. Skarmory just sits there, and you just fall. Slowly but surely. This is the folly of passive teams. That being said, Arctic does have the spin Starmie that got crit, so this wouldn't have been happening if not for that crit. We must consider this. We must remember what happened. The fallen... heroes of the past. And now we're just literally sitting here clicking spikes, but it failed to consume PP, I guess. I mean, bloody hell. This is a very, very passive game, but I think ABR has the better position. Just because Arctic has no great way whatsoever to actually pressure this Skarmory. Also doesn't have Roar on his own Skarmory, which is being seriously his undoing here. You could at least roar this guy out. ABR has identified that not having Roar on Skarmory is a weak point for Arctic. Has Roar on Swampert instead. Usually that'd be good, but Skarm can do faster Roar. And therein lies the disaster. And therein lies the game. Celebi has to recover here, I would imagine. At least it's at full health. Shouldn't Blissey be Thunderbolting? I mean, losing health does suck, but I think... Thunderbolt, it does a lot of damage and has a para chance. Don't you need to... I wonder what he's worried about with those soft boileds and the... Like, shouldn't you be Thunderbolting there? I'm wondering the logic. Because this Skarm is so problematic. Blissey is the one thing that can actually pose a threat to it. Maybe Celebi too with Leech HP Fire. We'd be in a different world, by the way, if that Leech Seed hit all those turns ago. That Leech Seed miss has provided such dividends. Such long-term value. It's kind of crazy. You know what? I wonder if Arctic is trying to sacrifice his team for the Carmine Blissey last. Well, now, why would that be good? If Blissey applies pressure to Skarm anyway, you don't even need to Carmine boost to do so. Is Arctic worried about the last Pokemon, whatever it may be? The squad needs a rock resist on ABR's side. Maybe it's a Swampert that would add up, or a Metagross. Flygon even would make some sense. Something flying. And works alongside Starmie to form a core. Could we see a Flygon in the last slot for ABR? Maybe. Imagine a world where Arctic either had Roar on this Skarmory, or the Starmie didn't get crit, or we landed that Leech Seed. Imagine that planet. We don't live in that planet. We live in this reality where this is happening. And Skarmories are spiking despite there's already too many spikes. They want more. The greed knows no end. I have 3 spikes, I want more. But it will fail, and yet I will keep trying. Oh dear. I think that this calls for fast mode. Forgive me for saying it, but we got to go in fast mode here because it's just an endless loop of Skarmory versus Skarmory. And they will hear him roar. And Swampert's gone. Swampert is gone. Gets Tyranitar on the Celebi. This probably can threaten a KO if it has got HP bug, which it very well may. Indeed. Arctic at least has the Skarmory to answer it. But now we're back to this. We're back to ABR with the Skarmory in. And pecks the incoming Celebi. Oh dear. Goes for the Leech Seed. The Doug Trap. Doug is still alive. After all this time, Doug prevails. It did not get eliminated by all those roars. And the final hurrah. Celebi sacrificing itself for the final Doug Trap. Will this actually be a win con? Because Carmine Blissey, the main foe was Tyranitar. Carmine Blissey destroys the remaining. We're going to subseed. And Dugtro's getting a lot of health back. Yeah, it's earning more health than it loses from sub. From leftovers and Leech Seed. This is enormous. And it's just going to return to fruition. Starmie's in. But there's a damn Blissey. Does Arctic have the master plan this entire time? What is the last for ABR? Flygon or Swampert, I would say. I think Metagross, I don't know if it would fit here. Swampert it is. That's a problem. Skarmory does have Toxic on it, so that's something. We can threaten that. Oh no! Well, it probably has Refresh Swampert, actually. That's probably Refresh Swampert. Well, this is interesting. I wonder who wins here, because ABR's Refresh Swampert, as long as it has Toxic, can stop the Blissey from sweeping. It is indeed Refresh. Blissey can land an Ice Beam Freeze. That might be the best bet. Going for it? Alright. Or Carmine could break through this in a... If fortune favors Arctic, like... Maybe just Carmine with a Toxic on you is enough to get through this Swampert. I don't quite know how that will exactly play out. We're chipping down the Swampert and there is a freeze. We got the freeze. Alright. So I imagine Blissey will heal up. You can't be too mad about that freeze. I mean, ABR's gotten pretty lucky throughout the game, especially the crit on Starmie early. So, Arctic getting a break. Oh, Screech is crazy. Screech is kind of... And then Screech into Earthquake. Okay. Suppose that's better than Earthquaking because the Swampert gets more chip heal. Maybe that was needed to get the 2-hit there. Or the 3-hit, I suppose, including the Screech turn. And folks, Blissey has this. Skarmory doesn't have Toxic. Even without Calm Mind, Blissey has this. Blissey doesn't even need to Calm Mind up. ABR going for the freeze himself, hoping for a miracle that doesn't come. And after an absolute slog of a battle, ABR forfeits. My gosh, what a roller coaster. The early game crit on Snarmy kind of crumbled the entire plan of the team. You need that rapid spin to function. And that was an exploitable weak point that ABR carried for hours and hours there, roaring and roaring and roaring, racking up spikes damage with no spinner on Arctic's side. Taking out Swampert, but Doug on a sliver of health manages to eliminate the tar, creating the Blissey opening, and a well-positioned freeze has made things happen. That's why you never give up, folks. Even if if you get crit on your most important guy, you could always, even if it comes 100 turns later, you could get the crucial moment. The freeze came. And there you go. We have a game 3 on our hands, and Arctic. I'm always impressed with Arctic's ability to play in these high-pressure situations and not tilt. Many players would have tilted in that game, but he held strong. And it turns out that preserving Blissey's HP like he did was important. He identified what was most important, and he played for it. Wow, that was a good pursuit for 15% chip, actually. It may not sound like much, but that's flamethrower range next time. Could be in range of other stuff too. Brick Break Pursuit Tar lead is applying some pressure to this Blissey as well. Interesting, it looks to be a Pursuit Tar without leftovers. Could be an aggressive Pursuit Tar with speed investment perhaps. Another thing that people use is Black Glasses Pursuit Tar for more damage on Pursuit and Crunch. Could be one of those. It is at the very least creeped to outrun Blissey, as we can plainly see. ABR is probably wary of a Lumberry. I went for Crunch on a predicted exit there, which did not come true. Bit of an over-prediction. It's alright though. ABR opting to Seismic Toss this. Doesn't have a great switch in for it. If a single crit in this Blissey is toasted, and it's pretty likely to happen when you keep looping like this. So ABR is not in a great spot at this stage. Not at all. But fortune favoring him. No crit so far. Getting the health back. Winning this 1v1 against all odds. And then you exit to Swampert on that turn. And there's the crit right when you didn't even need it, and it didn't even do anything. But it was a good move to go Swampert there. Arctic with a Venusaur bring. Interesting. This is in a good position here. It can get a sleep. Sleeping Skarmory is enormous. Yeah, that's one of the best targets you can sleep. It was already chipped, of course, but still, you're denying spikes. Gonna HP Fire. ABR just gonna stay for a moment to see what Venusaur chooses to do. That plays around Leech Seed a little bit. Because Leech Seed is commonly the follow-up click there. ABR not bold enough to stay again, risking Skarmory's life, of course. That would be a disaster. To lose Skarmory and have another Pokemon be put to sleep. ABR spin blocking. Looks like a pretty standard TSS on ABR's side. Something a bit more novel on Arctic's side with the Venusaur, but Venusaur TSS is something we have seen throughout the years, of course. Good Pokemon. Righto, folks. Correct spin block again. Arctic's really worried about this one layer of spikes. I mean, it is going to be a problem moving forward, but interesting to spin in the face of Swampert, not worried about an incoming Hydro Pump. Arctic failing to get the Rapid Spin, and Gengar getting a Wisp on Claydol, putting it on a clock. Gengar is going to fall to another Psychic, of course, but ABR is playing this very solidly. This is just good old-fashioned solid Gen 3 OU. Can't complain about this. And it's HP Grass on this. Ah, crit. Fortune smiles upon Arctic this time with that critical hit. That would not have KO'd. ABR took a while thinking about that one, and we can see why. I went for the Destiny Bond there, maybe predicting a Psychic. It was revealed to be mixed Metagross. Clicks it again. That's a really good trade, because now Arctic can never Rapid Spin. ABR is absolutely loving that trade. In comes a Charizard for Arctic. The Gen 1 starter duo having fun here. Beat up. Did that KO? Almost. Well, Blissey is forced out, of course. What if Charizard will mid-ground Fire Blast? You would hate to miss, but still. Flamethrower. Well, that can't miss. That'll do it. Raikou. And Claydol's gone. Okay, trading Claydol is doubly good now, because Claydol would check this. Flamethrower from Arctic. I thought that was going to be toxic and then ABR would be toasted. But it wasn't. Is Raikou just going to sweep? I think Tyranitar is at 50, right? Yeah, it's at 50. It's going to fall to Thunderbolt. Depends if it's HP Ice or Grass. But Raikou, yeah, can just sub against this. What can be done? There's a Desperation Leech Seed that just gets thwarted. To be fair, some Raikous are dropping sub for crunch coverage to cover Claydol, but you don't need to cover Claydol if it is fainted, do you? You do not, no. Arctic better have something good in the back, because this is a Raikou sweep in the making. Metagross here, maybe it can chip heal out of range of a Thunder, but then it's only breaking a sub. That's not enough. We are going for the Calm Mind. It better be like Aerodactyl in the back, which I would doubt. Appears to be spikeless from Arctic, like some sort of spikeless Venusaur. Balance. And it's Gyarados. That's the worst thing you could have ever in this position. Well, ABR expertly setting up for a Raikou win condition. Raikou is unexpected here. Raikou usually needs support from like Doug and Porygon 2. Maybe it was a counter pick against Arctic. Not thinking Arctic won't bring anti-Raikou technology this time around. Arctic is a Blissey proponent, and no Blissey in this game uncharacteristically. A bold choice to bring a Blissey weak Pokemon against Arctic with no Doug apparently, but it worked. Look at that. And ABR played this game very solidly, just good sequences. Bringing that Swampert in on the exact Brook Break as well, earlier on. That's an example of when you let a situation go on for a long time like that, the opponent stops trying to make a predict, because it's too hard to predict precise turns when there's so many turns. You can use that to your advantage to get the Swampert in. Well, there you go. ABR progresses, showing the range of his talents with a variety of different kinds of teams, from offensive to defensive to this thing, which is pretty creative actually. Raikou TSS. I thought it was standard Big 5, but a surprise Raikou went crazy. And Arctic as well. That second game here was a very, very well played by Arctic. That was wonderful. Because that was a severe disadvantage Arctic was in. But it's just an example of having patience and determination, finding an out, and going for it, and not tilting. And that is rewarded there. So I like to see that. Excited to see what Arctic cooks up in the next rounds of the tournament. Fantastic play from both here. What a delight. Thank you for watching, folks.